Hey guys, what's up? Today I wanted to talk to you about airlines and some airline stocks. I've had some people ask me about the airline industry lately, and rightfully so. It's been in the news a ton. The airline stocks have just been crushed by the coronavirus, so it's really interesting. And so I wanted to make this video to share some of my thoughts on what's going on with that. Okay, so first off, just want to kind of talk about where the airline industry is, what's happened with the airline stocks. Obviously, they are all down quite a bit. And then in this video, I want to talk a little bit about an ETF that I think is really interesting if you're wanting to get into the airline, if you want to make some investments in the airline industry at this time. I think there's an ETF that's worth looking into. Like I said, I'll talk about that one towards the end of this video. So, just really quick. Now we've got Delta and Southwest. They're reporting their earnings this week. A lot of companies are reporting their first quarter earnings, and obviously they're not looking too pretty so far. So, if we look at Delta, let's just kind of look at what's going on. So, from the end of the year, so the end of 2019, they're at 58.06. Since then, they've dropped down to 23.64. Right, so over a 50% drop. LUV, Love, Southwest Airlines, they were at $54.35. They're down to 31.06. So a pretty good drop, not quite 50%, but a decent drop. American Airlines, they were at 27.65. Now they're at 11.06. So they've had over a 50% drop. And United Airlines were just really crushed. They were at 87.90. Now they're at 27.79. So they've had almost a 70% drop in where they were at. So, as most of you are probably aware, the airline industry has been crushed. So the question is it a good time to jump in and start buying airline stocks? Well, I'm not your financial advisor, so I can't tell you whether or not it's the right time for you to start buying airline stocks for your portfolio. But overall, it does appear that they're down quite a bit. I don't think it would be a bad time to start buying stocks, but there's a few things you should be aware of. And first off, let's do this. So let's look at American Airlines, just to give you some context here. Let's go to the max. Let's see what happened in 2008 during the Great Recession. Okay, so in June 2008, it's kind of when it bottomed out here at $2.50. Okay, so huge drop. They were up. In fact, they've actually never, as of yet, passed their previous high, 55.98. They've gotten close, but here they got 54? Yeah, close to 55, but they actually never, as of yet, have come back from their high before the Great Recession. But they would drop down to $2.50. So obviously it looks like a good time to buy, and it was a great time to buy. But as you can see, over the next few months, went up to 8.49, went down to 6.03, went up to 10.14, down to 5.96, up to 7.73, and it came down and in, I believe, June again. So pretty much a year later, if I can get on there, in June. So 1 year later, it went down to $2.43. So it actually went down even lower than what it was in 2008. And that happens in bear markets. In bear markets and recessions, you'll see we'll have these mini bull markets and then a bigger drop, then another bull market and another drop. So do not be surprised over the next year, 2 years, to see stocks build some momentum, and then pull back. This is a really interesting situation, so who knows what will happen? And maybe there won't be. Maybe back in March was the bottom of the market, but there's a good chance it wasn't. So that being said, I think it's a good time to start investing in stocks. Obviously, a lot of them have lost a lot of value, and so they could be, trading at good prices. But don't go and put all your money in a stock at one time. If all you have is $500, I would spread that out. Try to do $50 a month or $100 a month. I don't think it's going to be, and I could be wrong, market's a crazy place, but I don't think it's going to be a quick turnaround where if you don't buy right now that you're going to miss some good deals. I think over the next while, several months, year, 2 years, you're going to be able to pick up some good deals because the market's probably going to be pretty volatile. Okay, so be aware of that. Don't freak out if you invest now and the market starts going up and then it drops lower. Okay, good chance that is going to happen. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, just be aware. It's kind of the fairly normal pattern with recessions and bear markets. Now, with that being said, that's where we're at, right? And it does look like, most of these companies, if you can look, their PE, so their price to earnings, 2.4, 2.92. I think Southwest is the highest at 727. Delta is 324. Okay, so the price to earnings are pretty good, and obviously this year is going to be really, really rough, especially this first half of the year is going to be really rough for the airlines. These PE ratios are going to go even lower probably. The earnings per share are going to drop to almost nothing, if not go negative. But that's okay if you're in it for the long term, and I hope that's everyone's goal. Unless you're close to retirement, your situation is going to be a little different. But for most of us, if we're a little younger, we should be thinking about investing for the long term. At least that's my goal, and my purpose with these videos are for people that are longer term investors. Okay, so, and it's really interesting. Sorry, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. United Airlines, I was $11.58 earnings per share. That's great. If you look at their max, kind of their chart, so Great Recession, and they've had a nice steady growth. I was really impressed with United. It's an airline that I actually don't love flying. I guess I've never had like a terrible experience with United, but I've never had a great experience with United either. So it's never been a company on my radar, but it should have been, because apparently they've been doing things pretty right, at least from a financial standpoint, over the last 10 years, 12 years. So, and I'm going to make a future video talk more about these individual stocks. Today I don't want to really go too deep into individual stocks, but United is one I would definitely, out of the four stocks, the four main U.S. airlines, United would probably be top of my list of a stock to look at. Yeah, another really crazy thing, like I said, you would assume it's a really good time, a really good time to buy stocks. But it's interesting, Warren Buffett, who owns shares in all of these four companies, he owns shares of Delta, Southwest, United, and American. And actually back in March, so if we look at the chart here, so back here in March, when it dropped, I think it was actually right here, when it dropped down to 45.89 Delta, Warren Buffett actually bought, I think he bought like 45, $48 million worth of Delta stock right here. However, a month later, here first part of April, when shares dropped, literally lost half their value almost from where it was at, Warren Buffett sold like $314 million of Delta. He sold $78 million of Southwest. I believe he would have taken a loss on those two. He didn't completely sell out. He still owns shares in those companies, but it was surprising that he sold almost $400 million worth of those two. So it kind of makes you think, oh, what's Warren's game plan? What's old Buffett planning to do here? So that's one interesting thing. Okay, now that I'm done rambling on about Warren Buffett, let's talk about the ETF that I think is a great choice for people that want to start jumping into the airline industry. And I shouldn't say it's a great choice. I think it's a great option to look at. Like I said, I'm not your financial advisor, so I can't really tell you what's good or bad for you. But if I was interested in getting into airline stocks right now, I'd definitely be looking at this ETF. It's called JETS, JETS, U.S. Global Jets ETF. And what's cool about this is that it's an ETF, and they own shares of a lot of different airlines. And it says U.S. Global Jets. So it's more than just the U.S. It's actually, they own airlines all around the world, or stocks of airlines all around the world. In fact, let's look at who they own. It is, the majority of them are U.S. airlines, but they do have others. So let's view all here. So they've got the big 4 U.S. airlines: Southwest, American, United, Delta. Also got Southwest, Alaskan, JetBlue, Spirit, Allegiant Travel Company, which is actually another interesting one. I think it's probably worth looking into if you're interested in looking at individual airline stocks. Finnair, so starting to get international here. Finnair, Asian Airlines, if I'm saying that right. And real quick, sorry, one last little tangent to go off. Funny story about Asian Airlines. Actually, it's not that funny. It wasn't funny at the time. So me and some friends were flying from Greece to Cairo, Egypt, from Athens, Greece to Cairo, Egypt. And we ended up flying Asian Airlines. This is my first time flying Asian Airlines. I originally thought it was actually an Egyptian airline. It is not. It is a Greece airline, the biggest airline in Greece. And they just happened to forget to load everyone's luggage on the plane. So literally everyone on the plane showed up in Cairo with no luggage, none of their checked luggage anyways. So there were a lot of frustrated people with Asian Airlines, and we actually did not get our luggage while we were in Cairo, but eventually we did. Everyone in my group did get their luggage eventually. So, and if that ever happens to you, you can get like a 60 euro stipend sort of deal. So they'll actually reimburse you for some costs, like if you have to buy clothes or whatever. So if an airline happens to lose your luggage, look into their policy and see if you can't get some free clothes and whatnot. But yeah, so don't know that I'm a huge fan of Asian Airlines, but who knows? Maybe haven't looked at their individual financials, so maybe they're actually a great company. But based off my personal experience, not super impressed with them, not super happy. But a lot of good airlines in here. GOL, GOL, which I believe is South American or Latin American company. Japan Airlines, Qantas, which is an Australian airline. Ryanair, it's Europe. Deutsche, Lufthansa, obviously German. Got Copa, which is another Latin American airline, I believe. Air Canada, Air New Zealand, Azul, which is Brazilian, International Consolidated Airline Group, which is interesting because it actually owns several airlines as well. It's the company that owns British Airways, as well as some other European airlines. So a lot of different airlines in this ETF. So it's actually under $14, $13.99 right now is the price, which with that you can get Delta, which is $20 something dollars. You can get Southwest, which is $30 something dollars, or at least a portion of those companies. So pretty cool, and it is down. If we look here, their 1 year for the ETF, the end of December is at 31.17, so it's down over 50% as well, which it looks like, it could go down even farther. Like I said, we're up a little bit, but with bear markets, sometimes you have a nice little bull run, and then it goes down even farther, so it could go down below its current price, but long term, it looks like it's got a lot of upside potential. And the nice thing too is it also is kicking off, I think this is the dividend yield. It's just under 3% for their dividend. So good growth potential on top of that. Nice little dividend, which never hurts. I think a lot of these dividends are probably going to disappear or be really small for this year. I think most companies are going to, at least most in the airline industry, I would assume, are going to suspend their dividends for this year. But long term, they'll come back and you'll get that growth and dividend along with it. So not too shabby. The other nice thing, just to look at this a little closer. Okay, this kind of breaks down the country. So obviously 80% U.S. companies. Okay, which is a little on the high side. I'd maybe prefer it to be a little lower than that, but what can you do? But yeah, you got the UK, you got Mexico, Brazil, Turkey, Italy, Ireland, Finland, Japan, New Zealand. So it's pretty spread out as far as their international holdings, which is pretty cool. And on top of that, the other thing I like about it is obviously airline heavy, very airline heavy at 88.2% in the airline industry. But some of these stocks are also in different parts of the airline industry, such as airport services, aerospace and defense, air freight and couriers. So like this General Dynamics, that's aerospace and defense type stock, I believe. They had Airbus in there, so some actual manufacturers of aircrafts. So yeah, a lot of diversity in there. So pretty solid ETF, I think, in my opinion, if you're looking at getting into the airline, buying into the airline industry right now. And I guess the last thing to talk about real quick is just, the expense ratio, which is 0.6 of a percent, which is actually a little high for a lot of ETFs. I mean, a lot of Vanguard ETFs are going to be a 1/12 of that, if not even less. So a little expensive on the expense ratio for ETFs, but overall, I think the growth potential and the dividend will outweigh the expense ratio. Okay, and there you go, guys. This is my first video on the airline industry and kind of my thoughts. Like I said, I'm planning to make some more on some individual airline stocks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to reach out to me or comment and let me know your thoughts or questions, anything like that. No, I'm pretty busy. I'm getting my MBA right now, in school, almost graduated, so perhaps I'll have some more free time here in a week or two. But as of right now, pretty busy, so I will try to get back to everyone, but it might take some time, so please have a little patience with me if I don't get back to you right away. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.